Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan Chandna.
And I'm Diksha Bisla, and on the show today, will US invade Venezuela? Well, Trump has once again refused to rule out an American ground invasion into Caribbean nation as he warned that Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro's days are numbered. We'll get you all the details on the show today. Stay tuned.
And also on World DNA, as India deals with its worst aviation crisis in history, the DGCA has clamped down even further on Indigo Airlines. We'll bring you all the details on that. Let's start with the headlines.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says that Kiev will send a revised peace plan to the United States today after amending it following talks with European allies, as final touches are being made to the proposal.
A coalition of advocacy groups sues Trump administration to release the memo justifying US military strikes on alleged drug boats, calling the attacks, which have killed at least 87 people since September, illegal.
US President Donald Trump blames Biden and Democrats for rising consumer prices, insisting that the prices are coming down, even as companies warn of higher costs and reduced hiring.
Shooting at Kentucky State University in the US leaves one student dead and another critically injured. Police say a suspect is in custody and the campus is on lockdown.
Palestinian militant group Hamas says the Gaza ceasefire plan cannot proceed to its second phase as long as Israeli violations persist. Calls on mediators to pressure Israel to respect the agreement.
Lower house of French Parliament narrowly approves a social security budget, clearing a major hurdle for Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu as he seeks to finalize a 2026 spending plan by year-end.
US and European powers urge Rwanda and M23 fighters to stop their offensive in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, and after the agreement as M23 fighters enter Uvira city, prompting thousands to flee into Burundi.
Honduran President Xiomara Castro accuses vote tampering in the recent election and alleges interference by US President as final results are delayed due to computer failures, with Trump-backed Aspura leading.
We're going to be looking at a couple of different people, but I have a pretty good idea who I want.
US President Trump will begin a final round of interviews this week as he zeroes in on a successor to Fed Chair Jerome Powell, with Kevin Hassett still considered the frontrunner. Now, Trump may wait until early 2026 to publicly reveal the name.
The Ukrainian president says that he is ready to hold new elections in Ukraine if the country's parliament will amend the law and its foreign allies provide security.
Zelensky also said that he expected to send Washington revised proposals on ending the war within a day. Now, US President Donald Trump is pressuring Kiev to accept a deal which is formulated by Washington, the initial version of which was criticized by Ukraine's allies as overly favorable to Russia.
In a recent interview, Trump said Russia had the upper hand in the conflict. He also accused Kiev of using war to avoid elections. In response, the Ukrainian leader underlined that election is a question for the people of Ukraine, not people from other states. But Zelensky also said that he was ready to organize a new ballot, adding that he was asking lawmakers to prepare proposals regarding the possibility of amending the legislative foundations and the law on elections during martial law.
Well, Zelensky's 5-year term expired in May last year, but the Ukrainian constitution prohibits elections in wartime.
To hold the elections, there are two questions. First of all, security. How to do it under the strikes, under the missiles, and in relation to our troops. The question is, how to vote. You know it, I don't want to repeat. And the second question is the legislative basis for the legitimacy of the elections.
Zelensky has spent the past few days shuttling between European capitals to hammer out a response to the US plan. On Monday, he held talks with European leaders in London and Brussels.
On Tuesday, he went to Italy to meet Pope Leo XIV and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Well, Zelensky on Monday said that the 28-point US plan had been revised to 20 points. This is after the talks at the weekend.
The US has indicated that Ukraine should give up the Donbas region to achieve peace. This will be in return for security promises that fall short of Kiev's aspirations to join NATO.
European allies have expressed solidarity with Ukraine, expressing concerns over the US plan. Now, in the Politico interview, Trump criticized Europe's role.
This is what Trump said. NATO calls me daddy, referring to previous comments by the alliance leader Mark Rutte. And then Trump added, they talk, but they don't produce. And the war just keeps going on and on.
Well, he blasted Europe as decaying and weak on immigration. In the latest broadside against some of the oldest US allies, and Trump said that countries including Britain, France, Germany, Poland and Sweden were being destroyed by migration.
Trump's latest comments on Europe have invited criticism by Pope Leo. The Pope warned against such comments, saying they were trying to break apart a very important alliance. He also warned that seeking peace in Ukraine without Europe was unrealistic.
I
really think that Europe's role is very important. The unity of European countries is truly significant, especially in this case, seeking a peace agreement without including Europe in the conversations. It's not realistic. The war is in Europe.
Meanwhile, President Vladimir Putin called Ukraine's eastern Donbas region Russia's historical territory. During a televised event, Putin said that his territory is important. It is our historical territory, absolutely.
However, many disputed his statement, saying Donbas was never historically Russian and Ukrainians have been the majority there for a long time.
All right, now shifting focus to West Asia, Palestinian militant group Hamas said that the Gaza ceasefire plan cannot proceed to its second phase as long as Israeli violations continue.
And they've also called on mediators to pressure Israel to respect that agreement. Now, this, as the ceasefire in effect since the 10th of October, remains fragile as Israel and Hamas accuse each other almost daily of breaching that ceasefire.
Hamas political bureau member Hossein Badran accused Israel of failing to respect the Gaza ceasefire deal, noting that under its terms, Israel should have reopened the Rafah crossing with Egypt and increased the volume of aid that was entering the territory.
He urged mediators, including Egypt, Qatar and US, to pressure Israel to complete the implementation of the first phase of the ceasefire agreement.
Furthermore, an Israeli official said that authorities would allow the Allenby crossing on the Israeli-controlled border, also known as the King Hussein Bridge between Jordan and the occupied West Bank, to reopen today to aid trucks destined for Gaza for the first time since late September.
Now, under the terms of the truce deal, Palestinian militants committed to releasing the remaining 48 living and dead captives held in the territory. All of the hostages have so far been released except for one body.
Now, under the initial steps of the plan, Israeli troops withdrew to positions behind a yellow line in Gaza, though they remain in control of more than half of the territory. The second stage of the truce plan involves disarming Hamas, further withdrawing Israeli forces while setting up a transitional authority and deploying an international stabilization force. Well, Israel says that this phase cannot start until the body of the last Gaza captive, Ran Gwili, is returned.
Meanwhile, UNICEF has warned that malnutrition among pregnant and breastfeeding women in Gaza is causing a surge in underweight and premature babies, putting newborns at risk of death, lifelong health issues, or continued malnutrition.
In other development, Paris-based media freedom group Reporters Without Borders said that Israel was responsible for nearly half of all journalists that were killed this year worldwide, with 29 Palestinian reporters killed in Gaza. The RSF said that the total number of journalists killed reached 67 globally this year, up from 66 killed in 2024. Israeli forces accounted for 43% of the total, making them the worst enemy of journalists.
Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum says her country intends to send more water to the United States, but not immediately.
Well, even as President Donald Trump threatens to raise tariffs on Mexican imports if the water isn't delivered soon. Well, Sheinbaum says that Mexico is proposing a delivery this month with additional releases in the coming years. And that proposal is set to be discussed in a virtual meeting with U.S. officials today.
We have an agreement, and we are going to make a series of proposals to be able to deliver water between now and December, and another one for the coming years, which obviously does not put the population and agricultural production in Mexico at risk, but also allows us to help the United States.
And earlier in the week, President Trump accused Mexico of violating the treaty and said that the shortfall is hurting farmers in Texas.
He posted that Mexico must release 200,000 acre-feet of water before December 31st, warning that he has authorized a 5% tariff increase on Mexican goods if that doesn't happen. Well, Trump first issued similar threats in April.
Despite the tensions, President Sheinbaum says the two nations have resolved water disputes before as well, and she expects they can reach an agreement again. A U.S. judge is ordered to unseal grand jury records from the probe of Ghislaine Maxwell. And it's the accomplice of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. While such records are generally kept secret, the judge agreed to release them, citing a bill that President Trump signed just last month. Now, the bill requires that the Justice Department release all records regarding Epstein. U.S. District Judge Paul Engelmeyer said that the grand jury material in the case would not reveal new information of any consequence. Maxwell was convicted of federal sex trafficking charges, including conspiracy to entice minors to travel, to engage in illegal sex acts, participation in a sex trafficking conspiracy, and sex trafficking of a minor. She is serving a 20-year prison sentence for the same. Congress passed a law last month ordering the Justice Department to release all of its records related to Epstein. Epstein pleaded guilty in Florida in 2008 to a state charge of soliciting a minor for prostitution. The wealthy financier was arrested again in New York in 2019 on charges of sex trafficking of minors, and he died while in pre-trial detention that same year, and his death was ruled to be a suicide. And for more on the controversy over strikes on the alleged drug boats, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York City.
A federal judge has cleared the way for the Justice Department to publicly release investigative materials from the Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficking case, a major development in the long-running effort to bring transparency to the Jeffrey Epstein network. This is now the second judge to grant such request. A Florida judge last week allowed the release of transcript from a previously abandoned federal grand jury investigation into Epstein from the 2000s. One more ruling is still pending on whether records from Epstein's 2019 case will also be unsealed. So what's next? The DOJ is expected to begin rolling out these documents in batches, which could shed new light on Epstein's network, potential accomplices, and past failures by federal authorities with significant political, legal, and public trust implications. How much of it will really be made public? We'll have to wait and see. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION The World this month.
As the vote count continues to drag on following the presidential polls in the Central American nation of Honduras, incumbent President Castro has alleged that there is an electoral coup currently underway in the country.
Well, Castro has also accused US President Donald Trump of allegedly interfering in the country's presidential election. She added that Trump threatened of consequences if Hondurans voted for Libre Party candidate Rishi Moncada. The Honduran president also urged residents to never accept elections marked by interference, manipulation, and blackmail, while adding that sovereignty is non-negotiable and democracy is not surrender.
In these elections, the Honduran people were subjected to coercion, blackmail, extortion, tricks, frauds, manipulation by TREP. These threats constitute a direct attack on the popular will. I condemn the interference of the President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Following the Liberal Party's presidential candidate, Salvador Nasrallah has accused electoral authorities and the National Party of Honduras of manipulating 2,773 tally sheets with inconsistencies. Nasrallah has also demanded for a ballot-by-ballot vote count while accusing the National Party of controlling the election council. The 72-year-old has alleged that the inconsistencies have also harmed his party.
The special count that starts tomorrow with 2,773 tally sheets is going to be handled and manipulated in the same way they have been manipulated since November 30th. It is very simple. Through the company ASD, the National Party controls the National Electoral Council. We want every vote to be counted one by one.
Now, amidst the allegations of frauds and irregularities, preliminary count has revealed that National Party candidate Nasri Asfoura, backed by US President Donald Trump, is leading the presidential race with 40.5% of the vote. The 67-year-old is closely followed by Liberal Party Salvador Nasrallah with 39.2% of the votes. Meanwhile, Libre Party candidate Rishi Moncada, backed by incumbent President Xiomara Castro, is trailing at a distant third with 19.29% of the votes.
Earlier, US President Donald Trump said that he will back Honduras only if the 67-year-old Asfoura won the election.
A NASA astronaut and 2 Russian cosmonauts are back on Earth.
They've spent 8 months aboard the International Space Station. Johnny Kim, Sergei Ryzhikov, and Alexei Zubritsky. They touched down in Kazakhstan, wrapping up a mission that covered more than 160 million kilometers in orbit.
Well, re-entry temperatures peaked at nearly 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit on Tuesday. Then, beneath a large orange and white parachute, the charged capsule floated down through the cold Kazakhstan skies. Astronauts were landed gently on the snow-covered steppe.
Sergei Ryzhikov, out of the Soyuz, 603 days in space, good for 13th on the all-time list. A good view of the...
The Soyuz MS-27 spacecraft undocked from the ISS late on Monday night. The spacecraft was drifted away as the station flew 422 kilometers above eastern Mongolia. A few hours later, its braking rockets fired, slowing the capsule enough to drop it into Earth's atmosphere.
NASA astronaut Jonathan Kim was gifted a traditional Russian doll called Matryoshka. Now, Matryoshka is a Russian traditional souvenir. It is also known as a Russian nesting doll. It consists of multiple dolls of decreasing size placed one inside the other. The doll Jonathan Kim was presented with had his face painted on it as well as the flag of the United States.
During his 245 days in space, Johnny Kim completed 3,920 orbits of Earth and supported dozens of scientific experiments. He says it's a remarkable chapter for the Navy SEAL turned doctor turned astronaut, whose journey has already spanned war zones, medical schools, and now outer space as well. The astronauts launched to the space station on 8th of April. And this mission marked the first space flight for both Kim and Zubritsky, while Ryzhikov completed his third journey to space, logging a total of 603 days in space.
While on the space station, the astronauts helped with many experiments. They studied how bioprinted tissues with blood vessels behave in space, tested controlling multiple robots from a distance, and worked on making DNA-like material in space that could help improve future medicines and treatments.
Heavy rains are lashing Jeddah and Makkah regions of Saudi Arabia, prompting a red alert.
And also official warnings of potential flash floods. Authorities have urged residents to exercise caution and avoid flood-prone areas. Take a look. A new cosmic rebel has burst into the solar system, spinning faster than the laws of what physics allows.
Well, an object that refuses to behave like anything natural, and just when we thought 3I Atlas was the strangest wanderer, the universe sent something even wilder. This next story gives you the details.
The universe just got stranger. We thought 3I Atlas, with its impossible thrust and strange tail, giving rise to the alien tech theory, was the apex of celestial mystery. But now, NASA is tracking something far more weird. An asteroid moving in a way that simply should not be possible. This object is not merely accelerating unnaturally. It is breaking the spin barrier. Traditional asteroids and comets spin, but within predictable limits dictated by their tensile strength and gravitational forces. Exceed those limits and they disintegrate into dust. Yet, now 3I is rotating at a rate that should have torn it to shreds millennia ago. Its observed spin, calculated by multiple independent observatories, is beyond the theoretical maximum for a body of its estimated size and composition. It's like watching a car wheel spin so fast it should explode, but it simply doesn't. This is not a case of outgassing or asymmetrical ice distribution, the usual explanations for strange cometary behavior. This is a solid object, defying the very physics of cohesion. Scientists are stunned, admitting they have no conventional explanation. The only alternatives are truly mind-bending. Either the object possesses an unknown, incredibly strong material, or it is being held together by an artificial internal force field. The implications are staggering. If it's a natural phenomena, it requires a complete rewrite of our understanding of material science in extreme cosmic environments. If it is artificial, then it becomes chillingly literal. It's not just an asteroid, and it's not just like 3I Atlas. It is a piece of engineered hardware designed to withstand forces that would destroy natural rock. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And with that, it's time for us to slip into a very short break.
But it's World DNA. We will be back. On the other side, Asim Munir is now the most powerful man of Pakistan. After weeks of delays, he has been finally appointed as Pakistan's first Chief of Defence Forces. In his maiden speech as Pakistan's CDF, Munir threatened that Pakistan's retaliation to India will be harsher than before. We'll bring you all the details. Stay tuned.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA with Deeksha. I'm Shivan. Lots more to discuss. Let's start with the headlines.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says that Kiev will send a revised peace plan to the United States today after amending it following talks with European allies as final touches are being made to the proposal.
A coalition of advocacy groups sues Trump administration to release the memo justifying US military strikes on alleged drug boats, calling the attacks, which have killed at least 87 people since September, illegal.
Gave you high prices, they gave you the highest inflation in history, and we're bringing those prices down rapidly, lower prices, bigger paycheck.
US President Donald Trump blames Biden and Democrats for rising consumer prices, insisting that the prices are coming down, even as companies warn of higher costs and reduced hiring.
Palestinian militant group Hamas says Gaza ceasefire plan cannot proceed to its second phase as long as Israeli violations persist. Calls on mediators to pressure Israel to respect the agreement.
PTI accuses Punjab police of using water cannons in severe cold as Imran Khan's sister staged sit-in outside Adiala jail after being denied permission to meet their jail brother.
Chaotic scenes erupt in Brazil's Congress as a lawmaker disrupts lower house efforts to vote on a bill that could slash former President Jair Bolsonaro's 27-year prison sentence for a coup plot.
We're going to be looking at a couple of different people, but I have a pretty good idea who I want.
US President Trump will begin a final round of interviews this week as he zeroes in on his successor to Fed Chair Jerome Powell, with Kevin Hassett still considered the front runner. Trump may wait until early 2026 to publicly reveal the name.
I deserve it. I settled 8 wars, so have a good time, everybody.
Human rights group Fair Square files a complaint to FIFA's ethics committee claiming the football body's president, Infantino, breached his duty of neutrality by supporting US President Donald Trump and awarding him the Peace Prize.
US President Donald Trump has said that he may make a phone call regarding Thailand and Cambodia amid renewed border clashes.
Now, the clashes have resumed, but Thailand's foreign minister has said that the current situation does not allow for third-party mediation and he does not see any potential for negotiations with Cambodia.
Well, on ground, the situation remains highly tense. The areas along the border are bearing the brunt of the clashes. Thai state media shared visuals of residences in Thailand which were hit by artillery fire from Cambodia's army. The footage shows rooftop of houses ripped off and several holes in the walls due to shelling.
On the other hand, Cambodian officials claim over 50,000 people living in border towns with neighboring Thailand have been displaced due to the clashes. Officials also claim that 7 people have been killed and at least 20 have been wounded in the attacks by Thai forces.
So far, at least 10 people have been killed on both sides in the fresh clashes, which erupted in at least 5 disputed border locations. Both countries have blamed each other for the renewed fighting. Thai Air Force said that it launched airstrikes on Cambodian military sites as a deterrent and to prevent an escalation. Cambodia's defense ministry claimed its forces came under attack from Thailand, but they had not responded out of respect for the ceasefire.
The attacks by the Thai army on the civilian people and deep inside villages about 28 kilometers in Banteay Menchi, starting from 8 and 9 December 2025 until 6 a.m., have killed 7 people and wounded 20.
With tensions escalating, Thai foreign minister has said that the threat of tariffs should not be used to pressure the country to start talks with Cambodia. He added that it was up to Cambodia to make the first move to show that it wants to de-escalate the conflict.
We don't think tariffs should be used to pressure Thailand to get back to the joint declaration, to get back to a dialogue process. No. I think the situation regarding Thailand and Cambodia has to be resolved on the basis of its own dynamics. And tariffs, they're part of the trade negotiations.
When clashes last broke out in July, US President Donald Trump brokered peace between the two neighbors. And back then, Trump had claimed that he had threatened to put tariff negotiations on hold unless both the sides stopped fighting. Then in a statement, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio urged both sides, Thailand and Cambodia, to return to honor the peace deal.
The renewed fighting is the most serious since the clashes in July. At least 48 people were killed and 300,000 displaced before agreeing to a US brokered truce in October. Tensions have simmered between the two sides since a Thai soldier was wounded by a landmine last month. However, the root causes of the dispute go back over a century.
Thailand and Cambodia, they share a 817-kilometer land border. The border was first mapped by France in 1907 when Cambodia was its colony. But Thailand contests this map, and efforts to address overlapping claims have made little progress over the years.
Claims over ownership of historical sites are central to the border dispute, and one of them is the 11th century Khmer Hindu temple called Priya Vihar. The 1907 French map had placed the temple in Cambodia, but Thailand lays claim over the temple. Cambodian efforts to list the temple as a UNESCO World Heritage Site has now led to skirmishes and at least a dozen deaths in the past.
In the month of May earlier this year, fresh tensions had erupted after a Cambodian soldier was killed by Thai forces during a border skirmish. Around the same time, Cambodia had referred disputes over temples in 4 areas to the ICJ. Japan recently suffered a massive earthquake, and once again cars swayed, alarms blared, and Tokyo held its breath, a jolt that shook 90,000 people from their homes.
Right, and yet only hinted at the nightmare that scientists say could come next. Now, Japan faces its starkest warning yet, a mega quake that could kill 18,000, and it can cost over $535 billion. Take a look.
The tremor rippled through Japan. The cameras caught it all. Cars rocking violently in parking lots. Store shelves and rattling like drums. CCTV footage of ceiling panels swaying in office towers. This is the terror of 7.6 magnitude tremor. The earthquake struck off the eastern coast of Aomori Prefecture around 11:16 p.m., local time sending shockwaves across Japan.
This time, a tsunami warning was issued fairly early after the earthquake, with an alert issued for Iwate Prefecture, so I was braced for it, tsunami. this time.
We debated whether to evacuate, but it's scary if something happens. So we decided to immediately evacuate and came here.
The country breathed a sigh of relief. No major structural collapse, no mass casualties. Still, the shaking was enough to send a chill through a country that's learned never to take the ground for granted. Then came the grim bulletin from Japan's meteorological agency. It has issued a comprehensive megaquake warning, urging residents to stay alert for at least 1 week. According to Japan's cabinet office, a direct hit on the capital could kill up to 18,000 people and unleash more than $535 billion. A megaquake, defined as an extremely powerful tremor of magnitude 8.0 or greater, it could unleash large tsunamis along the entire of Japan's Pacific coast. Tuesday's notice was the first time this top-tier alert has been issued since the warning system was launched in 2022. Japan sits on the intersection of 4 massive tectonic plates, a geological trap responsible for some of the deadliest quakes in modern history. From the 1995 Kobe disaster to the 2011 Tohoku quake, thousands of people died in both earthquakes. The country has endured tragedies that reshaped its emergency systems, but officials warn that the capital has never truly been tested by the worst-case urban scenario. And as aftershocks continue to shake the nation, one message echoes across Tokyo's skyline: this was not the big one, but the big one will come.
And Asim Munir is now the most powerful man of Pakistan.
This was bound to happen. And after weeks of delay, he has been finally appointed as Pakistan's first Chief of Defence Forces. The development comes amid calls to release the PTI chief, Imran Khan, from jail.
Well, Munir engaged in rabble-rousing as he assumes the role of CDF. Now, in his maiden speech as CDF, Munir threatened that Pakistan's retaliation to India will be harsher than before. His remarks were a direct reference to the aftermath of Operation Sindoor.
India's military action against Pakistan in the month of May, after Pakistan escalated on the 22nd of April, and New Delhi has maintained that the military action was a response to the Pahalgam terror attack that claimed 26 lives in April on 22nd. India hit terror launchpads in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir under Operation Sindoor. And Pakistan tried to target Indian military bases, but Indian government said that Pakistan projectiles, they failed to inflict any damages on the military bases in India.
Now, due to India's robust air defense systems, now Munir has said that India should harbor no misconceptions about Pakistan's resolve or preparedness. Munir indulged in anti-India rhetoric by saying that New Delhi should not be in any delusion as Pakistan's response, in case of any aggression, will be even more swift, severe and intense.
And those images of how Pakistan's military positions were destroyed during Operation Sindoor, everybody in the world saw those. And now this statement from Asim Munir. Now, the newly appointed CDF claimed that Pakistan is a peaceful nation, but warned that no one will be allowed to test Islamabad's territorial integrity or sovereignty. Munir made these remarks while speaking to officers of the Pakistani armed forces at a ceremony held to honor him. Senior officers from all 3 services, including Air Chief Marshal Zahir Ahmad, Babir Sidhu, and Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral Naveed Ashraf, they were also in attendance.
Speaking on Pakistan-Afghanistan tensions, Munir said that a clear message has been given to the Afghan Taliban regime in Kabul. He says the Taliban has no option but to choose between TTP and Pakistan.
Munir assumed the charge of the first CDF of Pakistan after the Pakistan government last week issued an official notification for the appointment in the new role for a 5-year term. Munir will concurrently serve as Chief of Army Staff, which he has been so far. The CDF position not only consolidates Munir's authority over all 3 defense forces of Pakistan, but also gives him oversight of the National Strategic Command, which manages the country's nuclear weapons and missile systems.
Now, this makes Munir the single most powerful military figure in the country. The CDF was established following the 27th Constitutional Amendment last month.
India is currently witnessing its worst aviation crisis in history, with over 3,000 flights grounded just since last week.
And this has shown what happens when a single company controls two-thirds of a rapidly expanding sector and is too large to control. Well, the aviation regulator has stepped in with Tuesday's fresh directive aimed at asserting some control over the situation.
Well, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, modified its previous order of directing Indigo to cut flights by 5%. The new orders that have been released, fresh directives, they order Indigo to curtail flight schedules by 10% on high-frequency, high-demand flights. The DGCA also ordered the airline to avoid single flights on sectors operated by Indigo, and that is to cut Indigo's dominance in the domestic market and avoid a repeat of the current crisis during the peak winter schedule.
Right, and despite the crisis measures announced by the government, its priorities and policies have come under the scanner. One of them is the regulator's rollback of safety measures for the time being to bring air travel to normalcy. Clearly, India didn't have a choice on that. Chronic policy failure and regulatory delay are directly responsible for the monopoly-like situation.
High central and state taxes on jet fuel, they have plagued current market players and have deterred potential newcomers. While authorities have temporarily capped prices, India's aviation market is still the most expensive in the world.
Our airlines charge extra by unbundling services such as preferred seats, extra baggage, meals and lounge access. New baggage rules this year have added to the ticket costs, and Indian flyers are also charged a user development fee which goes towards improving the airport. Now that is over and above the consumption taxes that are levied on tickets.
Now, the actual ticket price usually turns out to be a lot higher than what is listed on booking portals. The aviation minister has promised to set an example for the industry after the crisis, but genuine change must originate from long-term government policies.
Another news, India's Unified Payments Interface, the UPI, gets global recognition.
Well, the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, lists India's UPI as the world's largest real-time payment system by transaction volume. India's UPI volumes have been hitting new milestones through this year. In the Growing Retail Digital Payments June report, the IMF recognized India's UPI as the top in the world, and that was highlighted by Pankaj Chaudhary, Minister of State for Finance, in a written response to a question in Parliament.
India has periodically launched several measures to assist small-scale businesses in embracing digital payment systems, including the UPI. The minister said that until October, about 5.45 crore digital touchpoints have been launched to Tier 3 to Tier 6 centers across the country. And according to the Prime Time for Real-Time 2024 research by ACI Worldwide, UPI has the highest transaction volume of any global real-time payment system. India has a 49% share of global real-time payments platform, with transactions totaling 129.3 billion.
Second place goes to Brazil with 14% market share and 37.4 billion in transactions. Thailand is in the third place with 8% market share, 20.4 billion transactions. With a 6% market share and 17.2 billion transactions, China comes in at number 4. South Korea, with a 3% share, took the 5th spot, and other countries make up for the remaining 20%. Australia has become the first country in the world to ban social media for children under 16 years of age, and there is a lot of commotion around this decision.
Absolutely, Shivan, and it does include platforms which have been affected. They include TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, Threads, X, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick.
Australia is the first country to enforce this outright ban. A number of countries around the world have instated differing levels of access and control over social media for children, and these include Denmark, Malaysia, Norway, Britain, France, and the US. In Denmark, a proposal to ban social media for anyone under 15 years of age has already garnered majority support in Parliament and could become law by mid-2026. Many young Danes, however, say that a blanket ban is not the answer.
In Southeast Asia, Malaysia has taken the lead. The government has announced its intention to ban social media for under 16 starting next year. The government said it is closely watching the age verification systems being put in place by Australia. Well, the European Parliament has proposed an outright social media ban for children under 13 years of age with parental consent required for under 16s. In Norway, children under 13 are not allowed to consent to terms for social media. The government has proposed that minimum age be raised to 15 years. In Britain, the Online Safety Act passed in 2023 requires tougher safety measures from social media platforms, including age-based protections, but does not set a legal minimum age to join. France requires parental consent for under 15s to create social media accounts, though enforcement has proved difficult.
In the US, a number of states, including Florida, Connecticut, Texas, Mississippi, and Utah, among others, have enacted a range of controls on social media access for children. And at the other end of the spectrum, China has restricted screen time for minors. A minor mode limits screen time and restricts content for children based on age groups. Is the Australia ban going to set off a flurry of similar restrictions worldwide? That remains to be seen. But Australia, as of now, is the first country to enforce such a strict ban on anyone under the age of 16.
And world champions India have taken a 1-0 lead in the 5-match T20I series against South Africa.
Well, Hardik Pandya's blitz with the bat and a collective effort by the bowlers helped the men in blue with the series opener by 101 runs in Cuttack, sent in to bat on a sticky surface. India made a shaky start. Shubman Gill, making his return from a neck injury, hit a boundary first ball but departed the next delivery. And skipper Surya Kumar Yadav showed promise but could only manage 12 runs before he became the second wicket of the match. And at 80 for 4, after 12 overs, India were under pressure until Hardik Pandya took over. His 28-ball fireworks, including 6 fours and 4 sixes, turned the game on its head.
Well, Pandya finished unbeaten on 59 and with Jitesh Sharma added 30 runs in the final 2 overs to lift India to 175 for 6. South Africa's run chase never really took off. Arshdeep Singh removed Quinton de Kock for 2-ball duck in the first over and sent Tristan Stubbs packing in the second. Skipper Aiden Markram and Deval Brevis attempted to hit back, but Akshar Patel cut short the captain's knock on 14. Pandya had David Miller out for 1 with his first ball, and when spinner Varun Chakravarti dismissed Donovan Ferreira, South Africa slumped to 50 for 5 inside 8 overs. When Brevis became Jasprit Bumrah's 100th T20I wicket, the result was all but sealed. The final 3 batters added just 6 runs. The South Africa were bowled out for 74, which is their lowest total in T20 internationals.
The Golden Globe nominees are out, and as always, the list is packed with some of the biggest names in film and television.
Right, and before the stars take their seats, let's take a peek at the food and flowers waiting for them at this year's Golden Globes.
Well, attendees will be treated to a menu curated by celebrity chef Nobu Matsuha. The chef's team says that they're bringing back some favorites from the past 2 years with a few twists for the returning guests.
The great thing is we are featuring the same dishes that we've had the past 2 years. We're reintroducing the yellowtail jalapeno, the miso black cod, traditional nigiri, but we wanted to switch it up a little bit for the returning guests. So this year, Nobu-san likes to have a caviar component to, match the elegance of the globes, have an elevated, nothing better than caviar and champagne. So for this year, we're doing a pomme puree mixed with a creme fraiche topped with caviar.
Leading the nominations this year is Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, scoring 9 nods. The film is already considered an Oscar frontrunner, and the Globes tally gives Warner Bros. a boost as it navigates Netflix's acquisition deal. Close behind the Aukum Terror's Sentimental Value, a Norwegian family drama earning 8 nominations. Preparations are in full swing, with decor work also underway for the star-studded ceremony.
So, we have about 20,000 stems on dining tables, and then we'll have more around the room and on the red carpet and that sort of thing. But right here we have, everyone's been talking about Pantone color of the year being white cloud. We have that right here represented in these Cymbidium orchids from Australia. These, each stem, it takes about a year to grow, each stem. So they've been working hard to make it to the table.
The 83rd edition of the annual Golden Globes will be handed out on the 11th of January in Los Angeles. It will also mark the second year of comedian Nikki Glaser taking on hosting duties after strong reviews last year.
It is, I can get that. It is a gift, but I want to make sure that it's correct.
Well, that's all we had for you in this edition of World DNA. But don't go anywhere. More news and updates will follow on the other side. Stay tuned. You're watching Beyond World this one.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.